So Seth Rogen's apparently communicating in private with Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO of Twitter, and he's specifically calling out Dorsey for the fact that white supremacists are getting the blue check, the verification on Twitter. He thinks that that's crazy. And so he says, I've been DMing with Jack about his bizarre need to verify white supremacists on his platform for the last 8 months or so. And after all the exchanges, I've reached the conclusion that the dude simply does not seem to give a f.
Yes, and so I think that actually a lot of people are reaching that conclusion. And there's two possibilities. One is that Twitter is the extreme version of, well, both sides do it. He said, she said. On the other hand, right? On the one hand, legitimate people. On the other hand, Nazis. And hey, you say tomato, I say tomato, right? You say let's have a democracy. They say kill the Jews. Anyways, we're just having a conversation, and that's a possibility. And I don't think it's a good I don't think that's a good thing. But that's actually the more positive of the two possibilities. The other possibility is the guys who run Twitter are really, really right wing. And so, like, people always assume because of right wing propaganda that anything associated with the media is liberal. That's not remotely true. Most of the media is multi-billion-dollar corporations. In the case of, I don't know anything about, I don't know Jack, literally in this case. And I don't know anything about Jack Dorsey in particular. And I don't know about the executives at Twitter at all, right? I don't know what their political inclinations are. But we know the results. And maybe if they keep promoting and verifying white supremacists, maybe they don't disagree with them.
I mean,
so I'm not trying to be provocative, and I'm not like trying to throw Twitter under a bus. But I mean, what Seth Rogen's asking is a super legit question. So where do you draw the line? Like, so, and by the way, and now in Twitter's defense here, it's really hard because a lot of our politicians are now white supremacists.
Yeah, Steve King.
Steve King, right? And we're not throwing that word around willy-nilly or flippantly. I'm not saying like all the Republican congressmen or senators are white supremacists. I know that some can make that argument, et cetera, but no, we're talking about specifically like Steve King has said that he's in favor of white culture, and he's saying that if the immigrants come in, we're doomed, and
that they're going to rape all the women, and
I mean, he said he retweeted that on Twitter today, right? So he's a United States congressman. What are you going to do, ban him? On the other hand, the president calls immigrants criminals and rapists and animals, and say they're going to infest the country. These are deeply racist tropes and stereotypes that have been done to promote. And you feel, whatever word you're comfortable with, racism, bigotry, white supremacy, white nationalism, I don't know. Like people get triggered by those words. I'm not trying to trigger you. I'm just saying that it's obvious that Trump and Steve King are doing things that people who've tried to scare you about blacks in this country or immigrants in this country have done for a long, long time, for hundreds of years now. They're using the same exact stereotypes. So. And on the other hand, there's people that are even worse on Twitter who are monsters, who are alt-right guys or alt-light or whatever they call themselves today, that go around bragging about how they smear people and pretend that they are pedophiles, that their opponents, political opponents, are pedophiles. Right. They know they're not, and they think that it's.
They literally defame people, like and try to destroy their lives based on complete and utter lies. Look. And understand that what Rogan is arguing here, Seth Rogen's arguing, is not let's ban him from Twitter. He's saying, why are you giving like neo-Nazis and white nationalists, white supremacists, why are you giving them that verification, that check mark? Because that adds credibility and legitimacy, or at least it's a perception that people have. If they see that check mark, they think, oh, this is a real person, a serious person that I should consider listening to. So that's really the argument that he's making.
And he's right, it really does, right or wrong, it gives an air of legitimacy, yes. Right? So look, let's show you a thing that Ron Paul retweeted just yesterday. So these are all examples from the last 2 days. So this is graphic 84. So he talked about cultural Marxism, which is a deeply anti-Semitic term, and I explained the origins of that yesterday on the Young Turks. And in the cartoon, which he tweeted, there is not only horrible stereotypes of Africans, Americans, Latinos, Chinese people, Asians, but look at that Jewish caricature in the beginning.
Jesus.
Right? And by the way, if you didn't see that segment that I did, they say that the cultural Marxists started with a group of Jews that escaped the Holocaust and came to America, and in their insane view of the world, spread Marxism throughout the country and took it over for the corporate elite and are poisoning our culture, right? So now Seth Rogen, other than being a decent human being, also happens to be Jewish American. Now, if you're Jewish in America and you got these guys all the way up to Ron Paul say, oh, a staffer did that. So it's an honest mistake by a staffer.
That's always
so you
the
have
argument.
Yeah, I know. First of all, that's like he's made that argument for decades now. Back when it was his newsletters in the 1990s. Oh, the staffers. Why do you keep surrounding yourself with deeply racist and bigoted staffers? Right? Like, oh, golly gee, did I hire an anti-Semitic staffer again and did he make that public? Oh, golly gee, there I go again. Dr. Ron Paul, right? But Ron Paul and Steve King are the tip of the iceberg, and the iceberg is the alt-right and what the people calling themselves the alt-light, and there's nothing light about them, right? And so if you're Seth Rogen and you got this stuff, this poison on Twitter, I think it couldn't be more legitimate to ask, are you gonna do anything about that? Because we're now living in a world where fascists and people who aspire to be Nazis have a blue check next to their name. Credible, legitimate, wonderful. Hey, we're having a conversation, right? You know, it's an insanity that's hard to solve. I mean, look, on the one hand, I think the blue check thing for some of these monsters that are alt-right is easy to solve, and Seth Rogen's right about that.
Right.
On the other hand, they do have power in this country. And yes, we are actually having a legitimate debate with people who use words like phrases like cultural Marxist, which is as anti-Semitic as it gets, let alone what they say about black people and Latinos and Muslims. I mean, and that's the problem, and that's what Seth Rogen and other decent people are trying to avoid. Because if the Nazis didn't say on day one, we're gonna kill all the Jews. They didn't, they denied it almost to the end. They would tell people, oh no, we're taking them out of the country. And then they'd send them to the gas chambers. And that was near the end. In the beginning, it was, well, they're the ones that are causing all your problems. Exactly what the right wing is saying now about certain groups of people, right? Yeah. And they're the ones that have all the power. They're the ones who rigged the system. And you gotta watch out for them. I'm protecting you. I'm protecting you from the evil Jews who are ruining everything and running it. And they're ruining our culture, our good Germanic culture. They're ruining it. Here we are again.
I know, it's crazy.
So it's super scary times, and for people, organizations like Twitter to go, yeah, I hear you. On the other hand, you say tomato and I say tomato. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.